Football is awesome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Friday Night Roots. I'm your host, Justin Thomas. Before we get into the video, do me a huge favor. Like the video, share the video with your friends, and subscribe if you can. Appreciate all the love I can get. Just as this channel continues to build and grow and I post more videos. Super appreciate all the love. Let's go. Let's jump right into it. Just to kind of start, I know I haven't been uploading as many videos as I thought I would. I wanted to kind of try and do a video every day, and I've been pretty good up until about 2 weeks ago, where things have kind of slowed down, not only in the NFL, but on the contrary, things are picking up for my day job and my personal life, so I've just been super busy. But don't worry, I'll get back on the horse. I'll continue to try and do daily videos as time carries on. It'll be a little slow here the next probably week or two, but once I get back into the rhythm of things, you guys will get those daily videos. But anyway, let's jump into the reason we're all here: football, the sport we all love, and it is that time of year this year. It is that time of year. It is Super Bowl time. So for this video, I'm going to be predicting Chiefs versus Eagles Super Bowl. I'm going to be giving my prediction, keys to victory, key matchups, things that I think are very important. I kind of wanted to do this video a little bit earlier. Probably should have done it a little bit earlier, but didn't really, like I said, I've been so busy. So let's just jump right in and do it. So we got Fire Nick Sirianni versus Andy Reid. No, I'm just kidding. Not Fire Nick Sirianni, but Nick Sirianni versus Andy Reid. Howie Roseman versus Brett Veach. Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes. I mean, this is one of those matchups that I think everybody, it's a love-hate matchup for sure. Philly and Kansas City. I mean, Philly's a huge market. Kansas City isn't that big of a market, but it's a Super Bowl rematch. This will be the second year in a row we've had a Super Bowl rematch within the last 4 years or 5 years, right? Eagles and Chiefs, or Niners and Chiefs last year, Eagles and Chiefs this year. So just something America's kind of used to. No surprises there. And Chiefs try to do it again, the 10th team to make that three-peat run at a Super Bowl. And I think we're all I think America, obviously the Chiefs fatigue is there, but at the same time, I don't think people really understand, maybe they do, but the average football fan sometimes forget that the value of greatness that we're in, right? When it comes to the sport of football, when it comes to when the Patriots were winning, of course, everybody in the U.S. hated the Patriots, but looking back on it, you're like, wow, we're really witnessing greatness in the sport of football. We're really witnessing history in the sport of football. And I think when fans sometimes soften their opinion to that, that's true. There's a positive outcome for the Chiefs winning this, and they would set a record. Now, I'm not trying to, suck the Chiefs off or anything, but it's just, for a football lover like me who loves good football, I mean, this is a great game. I mean, Howie Roseman obviously is a well-proven GM. Brett Veach, do I even need to say anything about Brett Veach? But Howie Roseman's been crushing it, with personnel. Nick Sirianni and Andy Reid. Andy Reid's obviously one of the best play callers, best schemers in football. Nick Sirianni, this is kind of another prove-it moment for him. He's got the opportunity. He's got the weapons. It'll be interesting to see if he can pull it out. And who knows? I actually think they have a real shot here. So, Nick versus Andy, Howie versus Brett, and Jalen versus Patrick. Let's get it. I think another key matchup to kind of start into this video, Saquon versus Chris Jones. You got Saquon Barkley taking on the number 2 rush defense versus running backs. So that's a huge thing for the Eagles. I'm sure they've taken note of it, but it's also a huge thing for the Chiefs. Everyone gets worried about, I'd say, betting against the Chiefs in these situations just because they've been so dominant. And kind of going back to my point, I really only think there's one quarterback in history thus far, maybe a little bit Brady, but Brady, I think, also lost a lot more than Patrick Mahomes has lost up until this point in his career. But they say quarterback winning isn't a quarterback stat. I say with Patrick Mahomes it might be, just because of the way he, just the way he wins. I mean, the guy wins. That's it. They don't score 30 points all year. What happens against the Bills in the AFC Championship game? When they needed to score 30 points, they scored the 30. So it's kind of like that weird, how do these guys keep doing it? Well, they just do. So that's, anyway, back Saquon, Chris Jones, key matchup. McDuffie versus AJ Brown, another huge key matchup I'm excited for. AJ or McDuffie does travel, so you will see him bounce from left, right, different corner positions. So I can almost promise you he'll be on AJ Brown or Devontae Smith. He won't be on anyone else. And then just another epic Super Bowl matchup that we're all excited for. I think having another repeat for a second year in a row, Chiefs, Niners, and then now Eagles, Chiefs. I think that once again does create more Super Bowl fatigue at this point, or more Chiefs fatigue. It definitely could be. I could definitely see this being one of those years where the ratings at the beginning of the game are, not so good, but at the end of the game, people want to tune in and see if the Chiefs do end up three-peating, or who knows, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just one of those games with the best rating of all time. So I don't know. It seems like football gets bigger every year. Philly is first in rush attempts and last in pass attempts. That's pretty telling. It basically just tells you exactly how their offense is wired, how they want it to run. They want to be run first, run heavy, take all the pressure off of Jalen, which I don't disagree with necessarily. But can you run your way to a Super Bowl victory? I don't think that's ever really happened. I've seen teams run their way right to the Super Bowl, but I don't think I've ever seen teams run their way through the Super Bowl to actually win it that way. I think Jalen's going to have to actually do something. And then, of course, Mahomes versus the number one scoring defense in Philly. Philly's secondary is ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous. They got the exciting whites, Cooper DeJean, Slay. I mean, that defense secondary is just stacked. So, that's another thing I think the Eagles really do have an opportunity to dominate the field on. In the AFC Championship, kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier, that's the first time the Chiefs have scored more than 30. And to highlight that point again, Patrick Mahomes, I mean, the Chiefs they do exactly what they need to do to win the game. And that's what makes them so special. That's what I think makes them more special than Brady a little bit. They do exactly that they do exactly what they need to do to win the game. Now, do I think a team can still overpower them and win? Absolutely. I mean, it seems like 100 times the Chiefs have been in these no-win situations the past year, and they just win, and that's what's as a Phillies fan, that's what's scary. Something I did take a note of when I was watching the championship games. It seems like forever ago, but just a week ago. But something the Chiefs are going to have to look out for that I would say isn't a bright spot of the Eagles offense, but seems like last week they really did make it a bright spot. Dallas Goedert 7 for 8, 85 yards versus the Commanders. So that just adds another layer, to what the Chiefs are going to have to cover, right? Because they're going to have AJ Brown and Devontae. They're going to have AJ. Whoa, what was that? Oh, sorry about that. Just ignore that. They're going to have AJ Brown and Devontae covered up, right? But now they have to worry about Goddard and Barkley and Jalen. So who knows? Who knows if that could be a factor? So something for the Chiefs to look out for. And kind of to highlight also Jalen's success too a little bit. I don't want to just ignore him, but Jalen had his best game of the season in the championship game. Most yards, or I wouldn't say most yards, but he had a great game in yards. He had a great game in touchdowns. But he was kind of in this lull the second half of the season, and everyone was like, "Well, where is this guy at?" Well, he's back, and he definitely you could see the energy he brought this last game, and Mahomes too. Kind of one of his better games of the year. It's just like they showed up in the championship game. The key matchup I'm super excited for: Lane Johnson versus the Chiefs' number one sacker, Karlaftis. I think that'll be a great matchup. Lane Johnson hasn't given up a single bag all year, so obviously no surprise there. He's always a Pro Bowl tackle almost every year. Dude's incredible. Just doesn't give up sacks. Protects his quarterback well. And then of course that, compared to the Philly secondary, I think could give the Chiefs a run for their money. So, something I found interesting though, when the Chiefs did play Josh Allen last week, they did something interesting. Spagnuolo is known for having usually the top 3 highest blitz rate of a defensive coordinator in the NFL. What makes the last game against Josh Allen very interesting is that Spagnuolo blitzed way less versus Josh Allen, and for obvious reasons, right? They could get burned, and this is where I think the Chiefs need to be very careful because they know Jalen does have a history of running. This isn't like news, or this isn't a surprise to anybody that Jalen can run the football. He's been running the football consistently well, kind of across his career. He's had up and down seasons for sure, but he can still run it. And you can't, if you over pursue Jalen, you got Goddard, all these good weapons in the mix, including Saquon leaking out as a check down. I mean, you got to be very careful. But Steve Spagnuolo's built that defense to where they're usually, when he blitz that, I mean, they're usually getting hit on a quarterback, which is pretty rare. I mean, they're getting it. Those blitzes are working. Now, can they do it in a way that successfully slows down the Philly offense? Well, that's what we'll see. And KC, also to build on it, they didn't play that great versus the Bills offense. I mean, the Bills gave up 270 yards, two or three touchdowns. I mean, KC's secondary really struggled. Yeah, I don't know. And the KC, I just don't think that they're going to be able to stop Saquon and cover everything. But it's the Kansas City Chiefs. They just play good fundamental football. And if we get that good fundamental Chiefs football team, no matter what, it'll still be a long day for the Philadelphia Eagles, whether they win or lose. So the KC receivers still aren't quite playing well. They still all, they have some big names, but they don't seem like big names. D-Hop, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, the only relevant receiver this season to me is that rookie Xavier Worthy, just because of his speed. He's so fast. They do a lot of jet sweeps and other random little screens, cut corner routes, crossing routes with this guy. Well, the other receivers, I guess they had the biggest game of a while last week in the championship game, but still a little quiet. And with the Philly secondary, we may not see a whole lot of passing, but at the same time, the Chiefs' offensive running hasn't been that great either. So, anyway, and let's not. I want to highlight too that Philly held Jaden Daniels last week to a sub-7, like a 72 rate, which is the lowest of he's had all season. So, they really humbled him, and I think that they sat. There's a clip of Jaden on the bench looking at the iPad, looking confused, going, I've never played a defense like this. And so just to add to his tool belt, and something I'm sure the Chiefs have seen before, but something they have to navigate as well. But like I said, when in terms of scoring defense, I talked about how the Eagles are the number one scoring defense and they're playing the Chiefs. They're also, on top of that, have 20 takeaways. They have 20 turnovers in the last 6 games, which is crazy. They've picked off, fumble, recovered 20 balls or got changed of possession 20 times the last 6 games. That's a big deal. Can't be ignored. But, I mean, as awesome as that is, it doesn't, from a Chiefs perspective, both their running backs, I don't think they're fumblers, Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, but they're both under 4 yards per carry backs this year, which is just terrible. And the offensive passing stats are terrible. I mean, Casey's really built on their defense right now, but it doesn't seem like any defense thus far has been able to slow down Saquon Barkley. So just another thing to consider when we talk about this, or as I work through my thoughts on this game. Fun fact for you: Andy Reid is 30-7 when he has an extra week to prepare. So off bye weeks, off of number 1 seed bye weeks. Thursday night prior, they had a Thursday game the week before. Then they have that extended mini bye. Andy Reid's 30-7 off those weeks. I mean, the guy knows how to win when he has extra time to prepare. He allows the Chiefs to create all these ripples in practice and along with the squad. So, I think that's just something the Eagles need to look out for. Definitely Philly. I think Casey's going to have to get creative, whereas Philly, I think, is probably going to stick more to their roots. Like I said, last in pass attempts, first in rush attempts. They're probably just going to pound Saquon until Saquon needs a break and then try a play action or dump it over the middle. That's just what I think Philly's going to do, but I also think Casey is going to plan for that really well. I think they know that's exactly what Philly wants to do. So I'll close out with my final thoughts here. Of the panel of the panel of 4, I think when it came to predicting this game, the panel of 4 had Kansas City. 6 people voted Kansas City, 4 people voted Philly. So we have that 60-40 split on who thinks going to win. 60% say Chiefs, 40% say Philly. I kind of like these odds. At this point in this day and age in this year, it's kind of hard to vote or root against the Chiefs. Okay, it's easy to root against them. It's hard to vote against them or bet against them simply just because they're of that winning talent, that winning culture they've created. and kind of what they do every year. They just win, and they need to win. When they need to win, they win. So hard to bet against it. So I like those odds, but I really do think if KC has if they have the slightest inkling of trouble stopping Saquon Barkley, this game's over. I think the Eagles take it. I think they win. So kind of to see where America's at, 60-40 Chiefs versus Philly. I'll share my prediction kind of towards at the end of this, but final thoughts for me, as you know, Justin, is fundamental football is going to win this game. The Eagles have one of the best O-lines in football, and they're playing the number one defensive coordinator, so that'll create a good key matchup. Fundamental football wins. How are the players? How's their first step? How are they? Are they playing? Off coverage? Are they playing man coverage? Are they playing a nickel safety? Like these key fundamentals of how not only the players play, but the game plan the coaches prepare for them could make a huge difference. And I don't think people realize sometimes that, a player's first step, if he, takes a jab step left or the jab step right, sometimes, and especially at the NFL level, that is just enough for that receiver to just bye. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's the margin of error that these professional athletes are dealing with is so little. And I think, like I come back to my point, fundamental football, who plays the best, who takes the right first step, which coordinator kind of utilizes those players' abilities and strengths to be better is going to win this football. I know it sounds like a redundant, obvious answer, but I don't think people realize, the average fan anyway, the fundamentals are so big in football that first step or that check step, right? I mean, it can ultimately, cause you to win or lose that battle or win or lose your job for that play. So, and if both teams run the ball, as always, it's inkling and professional and any sort of football, run the ball, give your quarterback time to settle in, relax a little bit. Sometimes it's nice for the quarterback just to hand the ball off, get a rest play, so it's not all on him. Let him breathe a little bit, run the play action well. And just getting quarterbacks comfortable. Throw those little checkdowns at the beginning of the game. Get them warmed up. Get them riled up. Boom, boom, boom. Run. Check down screen. Bam. Take a shot. Get them warm. Or take a throw across the middle. Just try and get that confidence, that boost that the quarterbacks need. And ultimately, which team kind of does their job better? Kind of what I was talking about. Executing, doing your assignment, doing your job. If you're DN and your job is to contain on that defensive play, contain. Don't over pursue. Don't get too deep so the quarterback can cut underneath you. Just do your job. If you're a safety, and your job is across the middle check down, watch the cross the middle watch across the middle. Watch the check down. Ultimately, if everyone does their job right, you'll be a successful football team during the game. I think ultimately it's more important for Hurts to kind of settle in, given his struggles. Patrick Mahomes has kind of got his resume. He's got his rapport with football. We all know no matter what, when the moment's the brightest, he'll take care of the business he needs to most of the time, right? Hurts just needs to kind of follow that flow. He needs to settle in, not crumble, because Jalen, his biggest weakness in his past is throwing a moon ball or throwing that deep ball and letting A.J. Brown go catch it. Well, sometimes that doesn't work, especially in a Super Bowl game. That's not going to cut it. So let him settle in, let him feel comfortable, and let those balls start flying. And then another knock on Jalen, but as much as I hate to do it, but sometimes he holds onto the ball too long. If they get in a situation where they have a coverage, coverage is really good and they're getting some coverage sacks, the offense needs to quickly transition either back to the run or try and figure out how to get Jalen comfortable again, get the ball out quick, resettle him, right? Get him comfortable again, and then restart your process, right? So I think that matters. And this is kind of my final point, then I'm done. Coaching matters. Andy's incredible. Spagnola's incredible. Can the Eagles, can Nick Sirianni, can Kellen Moore, can they ultimately outcoach the Chiefs? I don't think they're going to try and outcoach the Chiefs. I think in this game they're probably going to try and out-physical the Chiefs, which some teams try and do, which isn't, I'd say, necessarily a bad approach when it comes to the Chiefs, just because they're not maybe the most physically gifted football team, but I'd say they're one of the smartest football teams. So you got to be careful. If you're going to out-physical this team, you still have to use your brain a little bit. So it'll come down to coaching. And so let me give my final prediction and get out of your way here so you guys can get ready and formulate your own thoughts before the Super Bowl. My prediction for this game, I really personally, I want the Eagles to win. I think the Eagles can win. I think if they run the ball effectively, the Eagles are going to win. But I'm not going to bet against Kansas City anymore. I do it every year. I do it all the time. Last year when my Niners played them, I did it then too. I'm going to give it still to KC, but I'm going to give it a close 50-50. I think the Eagles could easily win this. My final prediction, 31-28 KC, and I hope I'm wrong. So shout out to my brother. He's an Eagles fan, and I'm excited to see what happens, and I hope Saquon gets it. He's so deserving of it. Not that the Chiefs aren't deserving of it. Obviously, a three-peat would be incredible, and it'd be cool to witness that, but I'm just super excited to see the Super Bowl, and eat some good food with your families, enjoy the game. Final prediction, 31-28 KC. As always, let's talk some football. Love ya.